Alright, I just found some land up here off of Petroglyph, and there's a new build going on literally right across the street from it. So that one's up a little bit of a hill, which is okay. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. They're asking 150 grand for the lot, which in this area is probably not too bad. We'll have to do some comps and see what that's going to cost me, seeing how it runs alongside the arroyo, and how much that arroyo might cause a little bit of an issue, if any. Not 100% sure yet, but doesn't matter. We're up here to look at the land. We're up here to see what we can make happen. So and again, I'm gonna kind of document it, see what works, what doesn't work, if it's even feasible, or if you can make money building properties. I imagine you can. There's plenty of companies and people out there that do it, but how viable is it? This person's got a lot for sale and can't drive up the driveway, so that one not too sure about. But it's over here off Petroglyph as well, so I can just kind of follow the street when I get back home. I'm not gonna go back to the office. It's Easter, so, or Easter weekend, so it doesn't make sense. I'm gonna just kind of look in the area and we'll see what I'm able to kind of map out. I'll get some comps together, and this Wednesday we're having another meeting, so I'll submit kind of my plans to the class and get some feedback, see if it's feasible, and then from there, if it is, we'll lock up the land and we'll start the process. And when we do that, I'll again record everything, document it for myself as well as for you guys, but I want to see what all we can kind of make happen. Beautiful area up here. I like how it's kind of relatively close and segregated. It's over here next to the freeway, but it has its own private roads to get up here. So I don't mean like private. There's still public roads, but you kind of have to go out of your way to get over here. So that's always nice. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna be looking at building out here in Placitas, and maybe somewhere in Rio Rancho. I'm not too sure where yet, but we'll figure it out. These are the steps that they say that they want you to take. So these are the steps I'm gonna take. So I'm just gonna do everything by the book, how they say to do it. Be as conservative with the numbers as I possibly can be. Prep for worst case scenario and hope for best, right? So, if we make 50 grand, 100 grand, $250,000, however much we're gonna make, that's kind of what we'll see what happens as it goes. So I'm not too concerned about that. See, it's a pain to get over here. Beautiful homes though. I just don't like the stucco with flat roofs. I've never been a fan of that. So I prefer pitched roofs, but it seems like most people want the stucco roofs. Maybe it has to do with the height requirement. I don't know. Anything is possible. So summer's here, so we're practically here. Start doing a lot more stuff outside again, do kayaking and hiking, definitely riding the dirt bikes, and kind of just enjoying life, hanging out with family and friends, and try not to get overwhelmed with everything, still human, so got 3 jobs going on, working on a 4th, maybe a 5th, we'll see. Generate as many streams of income as I might be able to, and kind of documenting along the way, see what works, what doesn't work, and hopefully help other people who might be in a position where they want to grow as well. So I know that I want to grow, and it's taken me quite a long time to realize it. In my 20s, I couldn't have cared less. As long as I was surviving, I was reckless and dumb. I was out partying a lot, so I wasn't really the best person. But as I've gotten older and more sober and things like that, it's just priorities have changed and goals have changed, and the structure of life that I want has changed. I like the thought of having vacations and whatnot. I try not to utilize too much social media or anything like that, because I don't want to compare myself to other people and where they're at, and where I should be. I'm in the position of where I'm at. It's 100% either my fault or my success, one way or another. At the end of the day, the outcome of everything that's kind of going on, or the situations that I put myself into, are entirely dependent on my actions and what decisions I decide to make, just like anyone else. So, I know that I've changed my diet since the start of the year. I was close to 200 pounds or so, and changed my diet, cut out a lot of sugar, started doing intermittent fasting, and now I just drink black coffee and don't have food until noon or later, and then try not to eat eat after 7, at least 3 hours before going to bed. This way my metabolism is able to calm down, and then being more active and everything. I've lost a pretty decent amount of weight. I weigh closer to 160 now, so that's been pretty nice, and I feel better. I look better. Now it's time to start going to the gym and try and make that a daily routine too. So we'll see how that works. I know that being active and riding the dirt bikes, that's a workout in itself. So I definitely get a whole lot of arm pump on that, and cardio work, just trying to move around a big bike. It's not the easiest. So and then we do hiking. Hiking's really fun. Finding rattlesnakes is kind of cool. They're kind of interesting in themselves. But the other thing would be kayaking, off-roading, just all kinds of fun. We go to a lot of the lakes out here throughout the state, try to find new ones. There's not too many new ones out here, unfortunately, but we're gonna see if we're able to maybe go up to Colorado, do some kayaking up there, and kind of work it back from there. But I don't know. I don't have it planned just yet. Kind of live one day at a time, try not to plan too much. Only stuff that truly gets planned is gonna be only stuff that's truly going to be planned is the appointments that I set for clients or potential clients. Besides that, and then of course vacations eventually. But we're not there just yet. So we'll see kind of what happens, and every day I'm just going to keep making these videos, whether they're beneficial to you or not. I appreciate anyone who kind of watches and follows along, and if there's any advice, or if anyone has more experience, or I'd love to kind of pick your brain and figure it out. So I'm doing this to kind of document, help myself, help other people. There's a lot of ways to make money, and it's a lot easier to make money than I ever thought it was. I know that when I was tech, or working at hotels or anything, apartments, working an hourly job, I didn't think that this was possible. I thought you had to be a brainiac to do it, and it's just a new skill that you have to learn. That's pretty much it. So I've learned a lot over the last couple years of researching and doing this, making calls and everything. I've gotten better at door knocking. I remember when I used to first started door knocking. Oh man, I was a nervous wreck. I was always crossing my arms, or putting my hands in my pockets, or stuttering, and just talking really fast. A lot of anxiety, and not really knowing how to do it, and getting a bunch of people in the process to kind of just tell me to kick rocks, or not really willing to hear me out and seeing how I can solve their problems or anything like that. So and now that I've gotten better, I found that one of the better things to do is carry a water bottle, and keep that in your hands. Don't hold your hands, don't put them in your pockets, don't cross your arms, don't do anything like that, and just hold the water bottle and use the water bottle there as something, so that when you start getting nervous, you take a sip of the water, you pick up the water, you start, what dry mouth, whatever it may be. You need a second to think in order to give a response, right? Very beneficial. So the water bottle is something I would recommend if you do door knocking. Like, let's say you're a window salesman. You're going door to door trying to sell windows to somebody, or oh man, I don't know, a flooring company, a solar company, whoever you may be that does door to door sales or door knocking. The reason I do my door knocking is very different from the reason other people do theirs. And mine is to kind of gain insight and clarity, and trying to solve a problem that is there that maybe they are aware of, they're not aware of, and they just kind of need a little bit of guidance. But I'm moving the phone over here because there's a cop behind me. They're but we'll see what happens. Water bottles are essential. All right, I have a metal water bottle now instead of a plastic one, which has been really nice. Keeps my drinks nice and cold, and can't do bad without that. So can't go bad with cold drinks. But the sheriff. But, yeah. Let's see. My skills kind of got really, really good when I brought the water bottle, especially at appointments, right? And I think appointments helped me kind of realize that as well. Is because I would get super thirsty when I'm sitting there and I'm talking and trying to be open. And one of the biggest things that I do is try to be as truthful about everything without giving away too much information. And that's kind of the trick of it all, right? You don't want to solve the problem right then and there. You don't want to push them away with too much information. You want to kind of you want to take it one step at a time. Too much information, you're going to have like an overload and not be able to remember it all. You're going to get stressed out, frustrated, and so you just kind of attack the problem, acknowledge the problem, and present a variety of different solutions, and in our case, we have more than one solution to every single problem that there is, and that's kind of the best thing to do. But if you're a traditional salesman, or salesperson, then the water bottle is just going to help smooth things over, with your anxiety and everything else, keeping your hands out of your pockets. So, but the research was probably one of the more interesting things, and it's something I could get lost in for a long time, like an hour, maybe longer, if I'm not careful. And just researching the history, the backstory of people, right? Finding out people's stories on the internet is really easy. It's incredibly easy to do. So, kind of figure out their life history, where they've lived, and be able to figure out their phone numbers and relatives, and I don't know, any good or bad things that have happened to them throughout life, right? Anything that's public information that's out there, which is one of the reasons why you have to be really careful with what you put on the internet, is because once it's out there, it's out there. But there's a lot of really good stuff to do. And I've ran into a lot of really bad, type of people in this field as well, right? Where they don't have anyone's best interest in mind other than their own, and they'll scam and lie and just not be good people. And their name speaks for themselves. They build up a reputation fairly quickly throughout the communities and everything else, and they're known for those types of actions. And there's been people who have said and done some pretty great things and pretty bad things all around. I'd say most people that I've worked with have been pretty upstanding, and I've made some incredible relationships because of it. So, I'm looking to grow even more relationships, because your network, right? The people that you know are going to be the people that help you grow, right? If you have a problem and somebody that you know has the solution, that relationship is worth more than what money can solve. So, money can buy. So, I think that keeping those relationships alive is one of the best things. And I've got one of the best partners and gentlemen I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And he's done things for me that just incredible, right? Big heart, just one of those beautiful people. So type of take their shirt off their back just to make sure that you're warm. So it's incredible to be able to meet people like that and keep those relationships alive. And I have nothing but respect for those types of people, because life is hard, and business is hard, and everything else. But to be able to keep going through a hard time and then still be willing to give, it takes a true man or a woman with a good heart to be able to do that. And there's those types of people. Those are the ones that you need to hold on to the most. So, and I've met some people who, they'll stab you in the back while you're giving them a hug. So, it's just one of those things that you have to be careful of, right? My mentor and partner is the one who kind of showed me the ropes on everything and gave me the tools needed to be able to do what I do and make the money that I make and grow the way that I've grown. And I've been blessed to be able to have that opportunity, and I'm going to try and help as many other people with the knowledge that I have as I can. I mean, there's more than enough to go around. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who need help. I mean, there's too many people out there to help that I can't help. I can't help everyone. No single person can help anyone. I mean, too many pieces of the pie. It's like going into an anthill. You've got all these different chambers, so it's just there's a lot out there, and if you're willing to learn and put in the work, you're easily going to make 6 figures your first year. And one of my goals this year is to try and do 7, so we'll see if that happens. I'm not sure if it will. We came close to it, but we didn't reach it, so I'm not sure. Maybe we'll be able to hit it this year. Maybe I'll be able to hit it this year, just by doing some other things and having other aspects going. We'll see what happens. But this is where I'm going to call it. I'm going to put on some music and relax the rest of the drive home, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.